Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good to be here today. My name is Max Ma. I'm with Mpac. My title is the Client Experience Specialist. I'm with the Business Development Department. What does my title mean for Mpac? Well, it means our products and you guys. I am the liaison between that. I'm here to listen to your needs and concerns, and I'm trying to put your valuable feedback into good use. Now, why does Mpac, semi-government nonprofit organization, why do we have business development? Well, all profit we make at Mpac actually goes back to the 440 municipalities in Ontario. So if, say, a smaller municipalities, they're having problems with their budget, they will come to us and take our reserve. So we don't make any profit, which means, unfortunately, I don't get commission, but that's another story. A little bit about myself. I've been doing valuation for 7 years now. Commercial, industrial, a lot of residential. Been with Mpac since 2015. Joined business development recently this year. So let's talk about you guys. Why is everybody here in the morning for a meeting, for training? Let's play a little game, okay? We'll play a little game. What do you guys think the ratio is between non-realtor and realtor in Canada? Non-realtor to realtor. Let's throw out a number. Give me a number. What do you think? No guess? Okay. So I'll give you a little perspective. It's actually, for every realtor, there's 300 non-realtors, okay? 1 to 300. Now, let's play a better game. Let's talk about the GTA. What do you think the ratio for realtor to non-realtor is? 1 to 100? That's a great guess, actually. It's 1 to 124. Yeah. So 52,000 realtors in the GTA, according to TREB. And in July, 1,700 more members just joined. You won't find that out until like maybe next month. But I've been told 1,700 just joined this month. This makes the Toronto market very unique. One side, we have huge earning potential. Other side, extreme amounts of competition. This is why everybody's here today. Everybody is trying to get an edge on the competition. Now, why are we here? We want to learn one more thing. We all want to have one more idea. And we want to have one more tool at our disposal so we can get one more client tomorrow, one more sale tomorrow, and be 1% better as real estate professionals. With that said, let's get started with the presentation. I'm going to split it into 3 parts, okay? First part, I'm going to teach you about who is Mpac, what we do, how we value everything. Second, I'm going to show you some fantastic and amazing tools you already have access to, okay? You guys have paid for it, believe it or not. And if you're not using it 100%, you are losing out, okay? 3, I'm going to show you some of our products, how it can maybe save you some time and money. Let's get started. Ontario Assessment. We have 4 components. The provincial government, Mpac, municipalities, and the Assessment Review Board. Now, the provincial government, they're the one who passes the legislation, set the tax policy. City of Toronto Act, Mpac Act, Assessment Act. These are all done by the provincial government. Mpac, we value and classify all properties in Ontario. Municipalities. If you have a client with a tax question, do not call us. Call the city. City of Mississauga, City of Toronto, City of Markham. Call the city. They're the ones responsible for setting the tax rate and collecting the actual taxes. The Assessment Review Board. If you're not happy, there's 2 ways. If you're not happy with your assessment, there's 2 ways to resolve it. One of them is through an appeal through the Assessment Review Board, independent third-party tribunal. So who is Mpac? Well, we're a provincial-level independent non-profit organization. We're funded by all municipalities, 440 municipalities in Ontario. We have close to 1,800 employees province-wide, and oversight is provided by the Ministry of Finance. Long time ago, we used to be part of the Ontario government, Ministry of Finance. Not so anymore. We have a 15-member board of directors making up of municipal, provincial, taxpayer representatives. In fact, we do have a realtor on the board of directors as well. So what is our job? Our job is to value and classify more than 5.2 million properties. We also respond to inquiries from taxpayers and municipalities, we deliver the annual assessment roll each year. Even though the whole valuation cycle is on a 4-year basis, we do it every year. And the reason why is because, you might know this, we have a supplementary and omit listing. We give updates. What is supplementary and omitted listings? Well, every time you or your clients get a addition for a house, doing huge renovations, redevelopment, the tax, the valuation will all be updated annually. We do other products as well. We have a list of electors, jury duty list, population reports, and etc. Now let's all take a look at this slide. Very interesting. As of January 1st, 2016, the entire Ontario, all 5.2 million properties, is worth $2.6 trillion in assessed value. And of the 5.2 million properties, we have, you see, vast majority is made up of residential, 4.6 million, 223 farm, 156,000 commercial, close to 80,000 industrial, 45,000 special or exempt properties. Now, what's a special or exempt property? Pearson Airport, churches, schools, etc. Multi-residential, we have 16,000 of those. Multi-residential, defined by Mpac, is 7 or more units in a single dwelling under one ownership, okay? So if you have a 5-plex or 6-plex, functionality-wise, it's a multi-res, but we don't classify it as such. This is only for internal classifications. 3 approaches to value for the 5.2 million properties. The first one, everybody should be very familiar with. Direct comparison approach. When you're doing your CMAs, this is what you're using. You're finding similar sales, that sold recently, and you're making up and down adjustments. Income approach, office buildings, shopping centers, multi-residential buildings, anything that has tremendous amount of income generating potential, we will value it on the income approach. Cost approach. Cost approach is a great approach to value as it backs up everything. So all of our residential properties are backed up by the cost approach. And essentially, it's the value of the land plus how much it costs to make a new building, and you minus the depreciation. We need the cost approach. The reason why is, how do you value something like Pearson Airport, Canada's Wonderland? What do? Backup approach. Very good. And most industrial buildings, actually. Okay, so we do mass appraisal, and we have 200-something factors, 200-something variables in our regression analysis. 5 variables, 5 major factors, though, make up approximately 85% of all property value, okay? Let's take a look at this. We have the 5 listed there. Quality of construction, age of property, living area, lot dimension, location. Let's start with the first one, quality of construction. Now, we have, once again, internal rating system of 1 to 10. And we have 1.5, 2.5, with half classes in between. So 19 classes. 1 would be something like an ice fishing shed with no foundation, no plumbing, or a cabin in the woods. 10 would be some of the best homes you'll ever see in your life. Some of the best homes in Canada. Bridle Path, Rosedale, that would be where the 10s are at. Generally, a new construction in the GTA area, it's about a 6.5. Depends on the builder as well, and etc. Age of property, newer home versus older home. Obviously, newer home is worth more if they're similar. Living area, same thing, self-explanatory. Bigger the house, the better. Lot dimensions. So let's talk about that. Lot dimensions and size. If I have 2 lots, okay? 1 lot has 100 feet frontage, okay? And 50 depth. And the other one is a pie-shaped lot, 6,000 square feet. It's bigger, but only 50 frontage. Which one do you think is worth more? It's the one with the 100 frontage, okay? It's the one with 100 frontage, and premium prestigious neighborhoods, Rosedale, or other neighborhoods, some in Oakville or some, for example, would pay a premium for that extra frontage compared to the normal average neighborhoods. And finally, location. Location is everything, especially in Toronto. Depends on what kind of view you have, how close you are to the subway, what kind of school district you're in. So it all really matters. I would argue maybe that's the #1 factor for all value across the world, actually, for real estate. Let's talk about measurement for a second. So there's no authority for measurement in Ontario for residential properties. Has anybody heard of BOMA? BOMA? Yes. Okay, so BOMA is the authority for commercial measurement, commercial industrial measurement. There is no authority for residential properties. Mpac measures every home in Ontario, and we use exterior measurements. And we count the above grade only. We don't include the basement in the square footage. And this is very common throughout North America. Nobody, like different MLSs, nobody's going to list a home saying, oh, it's 8,000 square feet. Oh, by the way, there's 3,000 or 4,000 basement, right? It doesn't really make sense. It's not a general practice. And we exclude the garage as well. We count it as a secondary structure. Now, when I say exclude from the square footage, I don't mean we don't value it. We do give it a value, but we use a different valuation method for it. Let's talk about measurements a little bit more. So a full wall, exterior wall, would be 6 feet exterior height, 6 feet, okay, from the first floor. Then that would count as a full second floor. And total basement, sloping roofs. If you have a sloping roof, okay, 4 feet knee wall. 4 feet knee wall to the next 4 feet knee wall, or to the next 6 feet wall height. Anything before that doesn't count as part of the square footage. Basement area, once again, is exterior measurements. However, if you finished your basement, we only do interior measurements. Interior measurements only. And we take about roughly 90% of the finished area to account for boiler rooms, electricals, and etc. So delivering the assessment update. Now, we're on a 4-year cycle, okay? Currently, we're on the 2016 cycle, January 1st, 2016. I could give this as a PDF to Sammy, by the way, so, don't worry, I'll email him afterwards. So this is for the tax years 17, 18, 19, and 20. This has nothing to do with valuation. This is only for taxation purposes. A long time ago, a politician decided that it was better for the Ontario taxpayers to do on a 4-year cycle. Makes our jobs a little harder, but it really depends on the property tax rate. But that's another topic for another day. January 1st, and the previous one is January 1st, 2012. Now, why do you need to know the phase-ins? Well, you need to know the phase-ins to calculate your property tax. This slide here, I'm going to say you can ignore. The reason why is I'm going to show you a much easier way. Every time your client or yourselves want to calculate your property tax, do not make that mistake of calculating the wrong property tax. It looks a little embarrassing and you look less professional. What we're going to do is, this is how you calculate. Phase-in for this year, whatever year you're in, 2018, phase-in, property tax rate for whatever city you're in. City of Toronto's tax rate, 2018, phase-in for 2018. I'm going to show you where to get the phase-in for every year on public records. It's available. You don't have to do the math. It gets confusing for everybody, even for us. I do this for a living, and sometimes I make mistakes. But essentially what it is that we take the difference between 2 valuation cycles, and we divide it by 4, and we add it to the previous cycle. So it looks like it's easier to swallow in terms of taxation. If you're not happy about your assessment, if you're not happy, if you don't agree, if you think something is wrong with your data, with your information, come to us for a request for reconsideration. This is the other thing that you can do. One is the appeal with the Assessment Review Board. The second is this, request for reconsideration. Nobody's ever happy with their assessment. If you send to us, we will review it to check if the data is correct. So one thing I have to say, be careful when you're submitting something or your client is submitting something to us. Sometimes, we get a story. Oh, my house is off by 200 square feet. You guys over-measured. It's only 2,000, not 2,200. We send an inspector. Oh, no problem. We'll go. We go, and unfortunately, there's a lot of, we update our data based off of sales and permits. So if you have no sale, no permit, we can't, if you don't take a permit out, we can't update the data. What happens? Well, we need to go see the house. Sure, come in. We have 1990 renovation and unfinished basement. We go into the house, granite countertop, amazing floors, hardwood floors, everything's modern, re-gutted, brand new. Well, we have to do that. Oh, where's your basement? Oh, it's finished. Okay, now we got to update that data as well. So we did correct the square footage. Now you're still paying, you're still getting a higher assessment because we have to update the data as well. So just be careful with that. I'm not going to be getting you, but whatever, wherever you live in, the local office, the local inspector will come in. It's like the police, they come to your house. If they see anything, they have to due diligence, So that is the assessment, the process for reconsideration. And if you go to aboutmyproperty.ca, everybody's been there, About My Property. If you get your assessment notice, go there to check if your value is in fact correct compared to ours. So before I move on, does anybody have any questions for valuation only? Valuation.
Do they always send somebody to go and...
Do they always send somebody to go for a request for reconsideration? Yes. So if you file a request for reconsideration, we will always send somebody depending on the issue. I would say vast majority of the time we will send somebody. The reason why is because this is our opportunity to update the data as well, right? We are always trying to update the data. Right? Questions? No? Okay. Let's go to the 3 reports. This is the real store in public records. Mpac offers 3 products well, we have multiple products, but these 3 reports I'm going to show you are purchased 97% time by realtors are these reports. So the first one is the residential floor area report. People should be familiar with this. This is where you get your actual floor area. If the client demands for it, if you need to know what the actual square footage is, you get a pretty picture and it's for $5. Now, if you look at your handout, the pamphlet, we can get it for TREB members only. There's a package involved. You can get it for only $3.50 in a bundle. And these bundles, they do not expire as long as TREB is around. And they are actually counted as credits, so you don't have to put your information in every time. This is, and one other reason you want to get this is because, it's an insurance policy in a way. It's an insurance policy. It's your due diligence. I was talking to TREB guys, and one young man, very eager, new realtor in the winter. He measured the house. It was incorrect because, there's snow. He didn't really go all the way around the house. He was off by a few hundred square feet. Not a huge deal. He's not in huge trouble. But right now, he's having legal issues. And if you ever get into that situation, God forbid, if you ever get into that situation, you can say, hey, you know what? I spoke to the homeowner. I visited the property, and I bought public records. And as per Mpac, according to Mpac, this is how much this is worth. You have yourself covered, okay? Once again, insurance policy. Second, residential detail report. This is where you can get the building permit information. Floor area by floor level, including the basement square footage. Primary and secondary structure information as well. Now, if you've ever been on Geo Warehouse, this is similar to a level 2 report, but we offer building permit and floor area by floor level. And once again, everything you see here will be in a bundle that can be purchased cheaper per unit. Now, finally, we have our AVM Residential Comparable Report. This is our pride and joy. We do assessment updates every 4 years. We do every 4 years on a 4-year cycle. But our algorithm actually spits out a real-time value as of every Wednesday. Actually, what's today? Today's Tuesday. Okay, so tomorrow. So last Wednesday was what we had an update, and we give you a real-time value on that. When you purchase the report, it's $35. If you get it, you get a real-time market value, which is right here, and it's on a 5-star rating system. So 5 would be the best rating. 4, we're pretty confident. 3, not as confident. 2, not too confident. And we give you a range. If we give you a 5-star rating, we're saying that we're very confident that the range of this house as of last Wednesday is worth between $1 million and $1.3. And the most probable price is whatever the value we give you. It's off of a regression analysis. This is based off of closed sales. And the 3 comparables we give you, this is just additional information. We are taking all the sales information, not just Those three. But those three are just for you to look at. Physically similar properties, year built, square footage. So they're not the ones who determine the actual value. Now, oh, yeah.
Where can you get the sold property information? From chat?
Sold property information? I'll show you in a minute. I'll see if when I do the live demo, we'll see if we can answer the question. So why would you? So all the major banks are using this. A lot of big insurance guys are using it. Appraisers use it, and more realtors are using it. Why? Do I think this replaces your CMA? No. And the reason why it doesn't is because you have to do your due diligence anyways. And your due diligence includes analysis. You can't, a client's not getting you as a real estate professional, so you can buy something for $35 and just give it to them. You have to do your investigation. You have to do your own analysis. And then you take this powerful tool, a second opinion of value, a professional valuation report. You give it to them. You show them. You combine it. And you can go very far with this. Now, a lot of times, especially newer realtors, when you first start, you're thinking, oh, man, this is exciting. It's going to be me and my client versus everybody else. I'm going to negotiate against other people. But that's just not the case. Most times, 50-50, you're negotiating with your own client. There's a lot of unrealistic expectations, right? You're thinking, well, maybe your house can be listed for 1.1, 1.1. They want 1.5, okay? You bring this, well, Mpac has a million. I want 1.1. So you want 1.5. Why don't we try 1.2 to start? You have two opinions. Let's start with 1.2. This makes it a lot easier. Also, for your listing price, make sure you don't leave any money on the table, and etc. One funny thing is that it's easy to buy a 5-star report, but what happens if you get? I was asked, what happens if you get a 2-star report? Why would I buy this report? Well, you would buy a 2-star report. Actually, I would argue, depending on the house, I would argue that you get the 2-star report more than the 5-star report. And the reason why is that if we have a 2-star rating, that means it's hard for us to value this. It's hard for the appraiser to value it. It's hard for you guys to value it because there's probably no sales. So when you're in that situation, you need to mitigate the risk. Okay, mitigate the risk. If you have a $4 million plus home, you need to mitigate that risk. This is what Mpac is saying. This is my analysis based on my expertise of the local markets. This is what I think. Let's work off of this. This is where you have that talk with your client, right? It's a very Rosedale, earlier this year, when all the sales were going down, there's no listing, there's no sale. If you look at the news, oh, Toronto market's crashed, et cetera, et cetera. Rosedale, all the 5 million plus homes, they were dropping, actual price-wise. They were dropping up to 30%. And when you're in a situation like that and there's no listing, what do you do, right? What do you do? It's hard for you to come up with the listing price. So great tool at your disposal. And it's only $25 if you get a bundle. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So how did you get the real-time data? I mean, for the current listing property. I mean, how did you get the
real time? So we use closed sales, not sales date, but closed dates. Okay.
So nobody go to the house to do the appraisal, right? It's just based on the 4-year.
No, it's not based off the 4 years. It's actually, so we get our sales information from a third party, so from Terranet. So they have all registered sales. It doesn't matter if it's, MLS or not. And then we have, so Mpac has first of all, we have 4 billion data points. We have every property on data. And then we have the sales information, and then we have our algorithm, and then we used recent sales and the data from those sales, including the square footage, lot size, quality of finish, and then we make adjustments.
I don't mean the other comparable listings.
Yeah.
I mean just the one you want to deal with, right?
Yeah.
For that one, if there is most updated renovation something, how did you know it?
Right. So how do we know the renovation? Okay. So good question. So one, if you get a permit out, we know you have, we'll go in, we'll update the renovation. 2, if we're talking about the request for reconsideration or an appeal, we can update the house on that. 3, if there is if there's a lease for the house, right? If there's a lease or if there's a sale. Say I go to realtor.ca and I find the property for sale. That's another trigger. We have different triggers to update data. Now, if you took out a permit, your client took out a permit and we don't know about it, then we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. We can't, it's like on the back of this card, we have legal, like two sections from the Assessment Act saying we have legal right to access your property for assessment information. Unfortunately, the reality of the case is it's a very political sensitive topic. We can't just knock on your door, show our badge, and then kick down the door and say, I see granite on your house. We can't just go in, right? We need triggers. It's just courtesy. We need to do that. So sale, request for reconsideration, permits taken out, and anything else that requires us to, any other triggers that allows us to go in. Now, if you took out a permit, you don't tell us, we'll never know if you never sell your home. If you never talk to us, nothing happens, so we wouldn't know, right? So if you do know your client has updated something or finished the basement without a permit, which a lot of people, they don't take permits out, you add that to whatever real-time value we have. You go to aboutmyproperty.ca, Mpac doesn't have that data updated, right? You just add that value. You don't even need to check. If you didn't take out a permit, we don't have it, right? Most likely. So you just add that extra value to whatever we have on that real time. Yeah. I'm gonna do the live demo now. It's okay. I lost my mouth. So we're gonna go into, I'm not used to using this little thing here. Okay, so this is public records. Everybody knows how to get here? Okay, good, because I don't. I only get one link. Okay, so this is public records, and we're going to go through these, the information bar, one tab and one button at a time so you guys get to know everything. So let's start with the top tab, the 5 tabs here, okay? 5 tabs, and we have terms and conditions, privacy, profile, FAQ, and bulletin. Let's start with terms and conditions, okay? Terms and conditions. Who likes to read terms and conditions? Just raise your hand right now. Who loves it as their hobby? Everybody hates it, right? I hate it. You hate it. Nobody likes it. But you know what? Why should we focus on this thing? Well, let's think about this. For 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes of your focus, okay, you can protect yourself for the next 10 years, okay, of what to do, what not to do. If you have a bad memory, then protect yourself for the next 5 years. Anyways, that's a good return on investment. 20 to 30 minutes for 5 to 10 years. Great investment. We don't want to do it, but you guys are all real estate professionals, and you should do it. What does Home Life say? Higher standards? Let's apply the higher standards here. Privacy policy for Mpac, it's only 2 lines, so if you're going to read the boring long one first, read our policy as well. It's only 10 seconds. It's a lot easier. 3, we have profile right here. Profile. You should set up your profile with your picture and contact information. Why? Well, all the reports you paid for, all the reports you have for free on public records, which I'm about to show you, will all have your photo and contact information based off of your profile. So you should have it to get that premium look every time you email a client. So let's start with, I'm going to go through the 5 buttons here, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you 2 search methods. One is a single search, another is comparable search. Let's start with a single search first, okay? So we're going to click on, everybody see this little, these 5 buttons here? I'm going to click 6 times on this. So you can have up to 6 viewports on public records. You can minimize, maximize. There's arrows in between the boxes you can see here, and there's an X to close it. Now, sometimes we need multiple viewports available. I'm going to close this for now. So if you click on the outside, it opens a new window. If you click on the inside, let me just close these things first. If I click on the inside, what happens? It actually just changes. It changes the view. So first one we have is Google Maps, essentially, right? Everybody knows how to use Google Maps. Very easy. Everybody used to it. Let's just go through it anyways. You get satellite, labels, no labels. You go back to map, and you can click on the terrain. It shows you the hills and valleys in shadow. Nobody cares about that function, but apparently some people do, so they have it. Let's go have some fun now. We go to the layers button, okay? So this is extremely tiny, so you guys will never be able to find it or use it. It's right here, very tiny. So click on it, and it's going to open up a bigger box, okay? This is where the fun begins. Let's go with parcel layer first, parcel layer. I click on parcel layer. Everything is split by Ontario parcels, okay? By the municipal, this is the filter is municipal address, assessment address. You can also view this with ownership via PIN number. You can also view it by PIN number. Let's go to something a little bit more unique. Let's go to property type. Property type. So I'm going to zoom in. Property type, and you can see it splits the neighborhood by property type. There's a little color wheel on the very top, right there on the right-hand side. There's a little color wheel. We click on it. And it shows. We click on it. It shows the legend. So green is residential, purple is commercial, and red is industrial. Oh, I wish I had my mouth. So yeah, so if you zoom in, you can look at the, oh, I have one. Oh, sure, why not? Top, okay, sure. So if you zoom out, you see the makeup. This is near Young and Steeles, okay? Young and Steeles, you look, there's red, there's purple. If you're a new realtor, if you're new to an area, it's great to see what the makeup of the area is. If we go to Mississauga, you know, you'll see a lot of reds. Etobicoke, you'll see a lot of reds. Pretty useful to have. Let's go to the aerial layer next. Aerial layer, very similar to Google Maps. Once again, it's just the aerial view. Now, we do have one interesting function. So when I zoom in a little bit, you see this little, I don't even need a pointer for this. It's this little Microsoft-looking 4 squares button. Let's click on this and see what happens. If I click on it, nothing happened. Okay, I click on it, it tilts it. It tilts the view. So now you can use this little hook button right there. We can turn it around. Pretty useful to have. Otherwise, it's very similar to Google, just Google Maps, a lot of similar features. Let's go to the next one. Let's open a new window. Oh, sorry, got to turn off aerial view first. Parcel layer. Let's go back to the normal view. No, I'm going to turn this off entirely. So, one problem sometimes, when you're in Google, you see that little guy, right? That little man from Google. You drag the little man into an intersection, and the little man gets lost. You don't know which side you're really looking at, and then you're on Street View. You don't really know where you're looking at. So, one good feature that this, the iLookabout feature has is that, does anybody see that little camera button? There's a camera button right there. That camera button is really the difference between this and Google Street View. So I click on the camera, and a flashlight or a view angle shows up here. And it actually follows you up and down the street wherever you're looking at. So if I'm changing, I can do that. And let's be a little creative. We'll add the parcel layer here. We'll combine it with Ontario parcels, property type. Yeah, you can do that, and you can have two views open. Pretty good to have. Otherwise, it's very similar to whatever Google Street View is. One other thing, let's look. You see the save and email button. The save and email. Remember that beautiful profile you set up. Now you're going to save your first free report. This P right here. The P right up top. The blue P. Click on the blue P. You generate your first report. Now you can email this, save this for your own documentation right here. So it has the street view, aerial view, zoomed out aerial view, and parcel view. So you can put that and give it to your client or email it to them. Let's go to the next one. We're going to click within. We're going to click within the box. This green camera right here. This is essentially the TREB or iLookabout archive. What the property looked like previous years. I can click. Looks like this. Pretty good to have, pretty good to use, but that's really the extent of this. Now, we're going to go to the next one. We're going to go to this calendar looking button. Now, this calendar looking button, this is going to be your best friend when you're doing your comparable searches. But for now, what it does is it organizes all your single searches. All the single searches you've done. Okay, it will be listed down here. It organizes it. But when you're doing your comparable search, I'll show you why it's really good when you have that. But let's move on, let's move on to this little house right here. This little house, this magical house. This house is the button you want to click every single time you're on public records. Every single time for every single property, because this is essentially the information TREB has purchased from Mpac for you guys. Report, which includes the building permit. All these are quick links. If you purchase the bundle, it does deduct it as credits. You don't have to put in your credit card or contact information in those every single time. Let's move on to the next tab. We're going to go through 4 tabs here. Let's go to the next tab. Enhanced tab. Further information, bedrooms, bathrooms, fireplace, pool, garage type, etc. More information for you to look at. TREB MLS sales. TREB MLS sales. Once again, the gentleman in the back, the sales information. We had one area, the first page, you can see the last sales and last sales date. Now we have MLS number, MLS, the sales date, and the price. You will have it here. This is, once again, all free for you guys. Have full access to this. Not paying anything yet. Finally, let's go to demographics. This is something not done by TREB or Mpac. This is actually, in fact, by StatCan. This is done by StatCan. It's done by the government. It has everything you need to know demographically for a neighborhood. We have population, median age, average household income, etc., etc., etc. Very useful, very good in a package for your clients. And in fact, when we're making this package, we can actually click. See this orange box, this orange box. We click on it, it's called a PDR report. Once again, you generate your beautiful profile picture right here where it says Mpac. Has everything. It has all the information, the 4 tabs right here provided for you in one report. You can go all the way down to the area for the demographics. Looks really good. You know, if you print this out in a package, give it an email, you know, put it in your open house. You know, anything you guys can do for open house, you should do, especially if it's free. Because every time you're doing an open house, you're not only serving your clients, right? You are actually marketing yourself. What do Torontonians love to do? Well, you know, when they're grocery shopping, hey, look, honey, there's The open house, let's go in. Everybody goes in, and when they find an open house that they love, with a professional attitude, expertise, great package around, you are marketing yourself. So do your best for your open houses, and you are promoting yourself every single time. So let's get out of this report, and let's go to the comparable. Let's go to comparable search now. Oh, by the way, everybody knows Geo Warehouse, right? Okay, Geo Warehouse, this tiny little orange outline. So great people, we work with them all the time. We're also competitors. So the only time you should go to Geo Warehouse is to confirm the owner's name. That's where you have to go to get that kind of information. Otherwise, we have the same data and we sell it for cheaper. So let's go to comparable reports. Okay, so we're gonna search comparables. Let's open the map viewport once again. Where are you? Where's my mouse? There it is. Alright, there it is. Alright, we're gonna generate a search criteria, okay? So we're looking for multiple searches. If you're doing your CMA, if you're doing analysis, if you just want to know about the neighborhood, because in case you meet a potential client, you want to be able to talk about what's going on and what the prices kind of generally look like, or whatever you want to do. We can search by two methods. I'm going to show you two ways of doing multiple searches. Okay, first one we're going to do by Treb community. Treb community. Actually, I did forget to do one thing. I'm going to show you guys actually right now before I go into the comparable searches. Remember that layers function? I got thrown off with a question. That layers function, we're in layers again. We click feature layer. The next button is feature layer. We actually zoom out. We can look at the new construction, new development. They're yellow globs, okay? They will show up in yellow globs, and surprise, surprise, we go to Richmond Hill and Markham. It's like yellow globs everywhere, okay? We zoom in, we can actually, if we zoom in, it will show up as, a pink block.
That's okay.
Thank you.
It will show up as a pink block. Now, this is new construction, redevelopment that's under construction, fully registered, nothing proposed, nothing advertised. It takes a little while for that to get in, but it's a good feature to have if you're new to an area, you want to know what's going on with the redevelopment and all that. It's a great feature to have. And if we click on communities, the community tab, we zoom out and it actually shows it's color coded if you zoom in. If you zoom out, it actually shows all the communities here, right? Everybody loves talking about neighborhoods because everybody's really proud of where they're living. I mean, you're paying $1 million, $1 billion in the Toronto market. I don't know how much. It's really expensive to get to get home ownership. Everybody's really proud of where they live. They want to be able to talk about it with a realtor. And if you don't know your neighborhoods, if you don't know Rosedale, you don't know Jane and Finch, you don't know places in Oakville, then sometimes you might look like an amateur, right? And it could be that one information, that one thing we're talking about that makes you look less professional, that doesn't give them as much confidence. So learn as much as you can, especially for these neighborhoods. Great way to have it. If we zoom it out, it actually shows, okay, all the ward numbers here. W05, C06, C13. You know those monthly, quarterly, annual Treb reports that tell you what's going on in the market, right? W03 month to month, townhouse went up 2%, etc. Those reports, right? This is where you can look, where those things are. And one funny thing is, remember that crazy condo market we had last year, beginning January to April, the first quarter-ish. W05 year to year, April 2016 to April 2017, year to year, 51% increase for condos. 51% increase. And that's in W05. That is where York University, Jane and Finch is. So information like that you can see by the ward number. Let's go back to the house again. All right. And finally, we have easement. This is like the most useless feature of all in this layer box. Nobody ever uses it, but it tells you what the easement is in yellow lines that are impossible to see. If you know where the easement is, most likely you'll know more about the easement than what the map is showing you, but it does show yellow lines, and those yellow lines may be like a sewage or a walkway to get to the park between two houses, stuff like that. So sorry, I got a little distracted with that. That was the end of the layers box. Let's go back to our comparable search. Now, what are we doing? Treb community. If you can see here, it says Treb community here. It's not too clear. This is Noonbrook East. I apologize if you can't see, but I'll just scream it out loud. You can search by property type right here. Property type. Commercial, farm, industrial, residential. Most of the time, we're all going to use residential. So one cool feature is that we can actually search the residential by all of Mpac's subclasses. So what do I mean? Link homes, townhomes, duplex, triplex, single detached on water, single detached not on water, and etc., etc. It's all here for you to look if you want to know about the area and the comparables. Now, this is not just sales we're searching for all properties, the inventory of 4.6 million properties. And we have the area Noonbrook East, which is generally here, I think, yeah. And we will search for, there's age of dwelling, so 1 to 10 years, floor area, bedroom, bathroom, half bath, full bath, part stories, full story. The broader your range for search, the more you're going to get, of course. The narrower, less search, okay? So you can get up to 100 comparables, 100 comparables. I'll show you right now. We're going to do a search. Takes a little. Okay, there we go. We found 42 comparables, okay? Basically on this criteria, on these criteria. We're gonna say cancel for now. We're gonna cancel for now because I'm gonna show you another way of searching. Let's go to custom boundaries. I'm gonna click select custom boundaries. So sometimes when you have a big neighborhood, there's sub-neighborhoods within the neighborhood, right? There's, if you go over a certain street, you're out of a school district. If you're over a certain street, that's where all the, people you don't want to live with. I don't know. People are, they're very detailed and meticulous about that. So let's talk about this area, North York. So everybody's heard of that school, high school, Earl Hagues. Earl Hagues, yeah? Okay, one of the best public high schools in North York. One of the best high schools in Toronto, actually. So it's fun. I won't say funny. So I know the story. My realtor was telling me people came from, immigrated to Canada for education of their children. They're thinking, oh, I'm buying a house. I'm 100 meters away. I'm literally 100 meters away from McKay Elementary. I can see Earl Hague, I can see McKay. My kids are going to go to McKay and then go to Earl Hague, right? They go 100 meters away. They can't. They're not in the district. They're not in the district. Let me tell you, there's only one place, not Mpac, not Treb, not your realtor. There's only one place, okay, you should check to see if a home is within the school district is the Toronto District School Board, okay? Go to the Toronto District School Board. It is very, it's not what you think. It's, if you're on Yonge, but if you're in a condo, odd numbers only. Even numbers, you're to another school, right? If you're on this street, not past this side, you're, very detailed, so look to the Toronto District School Board for that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because sometimes you want to search by a custom boundary, okay? You want to do a custom boundary? Let's do custom boundary. We can do the radius. This thing will grow. You can do it like this. This is not as useful, but sometimes if you just want the general vicinity, it's pretty good to have. Okay, so let's charts and graphs available on Excel. You can learn how to make your own database for your clients. If you just go on YouTube, a lot of free lessons. When you extract this data, you can use it for your own analysis if you want to. Second button, the RCR report, that blue little box. Click on this. Questions? Yes.
So for the data in this system, like in the Mpac, like are there only one official data in Ontario?
For square footage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hotel assessment, all those things.
For assessment, yeah. So assessment, nobody else does assessment. Like,
Okay.
basically, we're not allowed to call ourselves the government, but let's just be honest. We're funded by them. Our power is given by them. We used to be the government. We're not the government. It's for political and legal. It's
So you mean also for the footage, right?
square footage. We do the measurements. Now, if you have a builder, builders might build, like they might. Oh, come on, it won't let me load. So we have other reports other than the three I showed you. I'm not going to go into these. You can view them on your own time. I know a lot of new immigrants to Canada, very wealthy. They have a lot of private equity, and they look for investments in other businesses, including real estate. We do have commercial industrial reports. We have farm reports, and we have market income report, multi-residential. You can look at your own time. But the vast majority of the time, the first three reports are purchased by realtors. Yes.
So in this part,
Yeah.
my client buy a survey. Sometimes the buyer need a survey, seller will provide, but the seller, it's hard for seller to get a survey.
It's hard to sell. There's no survey on here. You have to buy a survey from somewhere else. This doesn't have, it doesn't have surveys. Yeah, we're not a surveying company. Yeah.
When you have a showing of a properties, sometimes we see the building extending and awesome in-ground swimming use. And you told us that based on the permit delivered from a specific city, that's the basic data to assess the property in the years to come. And is there any source to access the?
Sure, if 2 sales ago, if this thing was a grow op and it was remediated.
Okay, so
Yeah.
This is my instance.
Townhouse condos, a little bit more. Detached, not as much, a little bit less, right? So it depends which home you're looking at. But take the 3 or 4 month, the close dates, and apply to that. This wouldn't work too well in a condo market like last year, where everything just exploded. But I've never seen anything like that in the history of, real estate in North America, other than like the 50s or something. So we're generating this model off of similar sales in different economic neighborhoods, right? Different economic, not TREB neighborhoods, but Mpac's neighborhoods. We split a neighborhood. We'll split it maybe into 5 or 6, depending on how big it is, and we'll look for sales of similar properties in the neighborhood and similar neighborhoods. So if you said that thing sold for 900, right? Unless you know exact details of that property, the exact square footage, exact renovation, exact finishing, right? You wouldn't necessarily know, right? Because you got to compare. This is what you do in appraisal too, right? Where your CMA, you're making up and down adjustments, right? Also, if your client didn't take out a permit, how would we know? If we don't know, you want to, if Mpac doesn't know you guys have a finished basement, and let's say it's worth $30,000, you add that $30,000 to whatever we have, okay? If you did a renovation, huge renovation, you didn't tell Mpac, didn't get a permit, first of all, very naughty. And then you add that value on, right? You add that value on. This is, once again, a powerful tool at your disposal, but you guys are the real estate professionals. You guys are the ones who should apply your expertise on whatever market you know, right? To really, really utilize it together. These 3 comparables, they're just for additional information. It's not like a CMA where you just find, or appraisal report. Don't look at these as the valuations. This is just physically similar. So year build, similar. Square footage, similar. Okay? All right, thank you.